This previously barren woman, who with her husband helped Elisha, now has her baby boy, just as the prophet had promised. And we pick up the story of Elisha's second miracle involving helping people that we find in our current chapter. Hi, I'm Ken Godevanis, and this is Digging for Scriptural Gems. Thanks for joining us today as we study 2 Kings chapter 4. We're looking at verses 18 to 37 together. Now this particular section of the story starts off with the boy, having grown up, goes and sees his father in the fields where he and others were reaping in the morning. And the boy starts complaining about his head hurting badly. His father tells one of the servants to carry him home where his mother was. The boy just sits in her lap until noon, and then he dies. Now, what does the mother do? She takes her dead son and lays him in the bed she had set aside for Elisha. She then shuts the door and leaves. And then she sends word or calls her husband and asks him to send her a servant and a donkey so that she may go to Elisha and return. Now the husband questioned the timing of her trip, as it was neither a new moon or the Sabbath. This is an indication that this woman normally did in fact go to worship on certain days, but these were not those days. Instead, she insisted it would all be well. She saddled the donkey and told the servant to push it as fast as possible, not slowing down unless she asked him to. It's usual for women to ride on asses, accompanied by a servant who walks behind and drives the beast with his stick, goading the animal at the speed required by his mistress. The Shunammite had to ride a journey of 5 or 6 hours to the top of Carmel. She was a mother on a mission, but exactly what kind of mission and what was in her heart? She found Elisha at Mount Carmel. Elisha recognized her from a distance and told his servant to run and meet her and to ask her if it was well with herself, her husband, and her child. The servant did that, and she answered him, "It is well." But that changed when she got to Elijah. She takes hold of his feet, and Gehazi, the servant, tries to push her away. But Elijah says, "Leave her alone, as her soul is troubled or bitter." He detected that. And he also adds that the Lord hid this trouble from me. The woman then boldly makes her complaint. "Did I ask for a son from my Lord?" Now this was lowercase l on Lord, and thus referring to Elisha, not to God. And she went on, "Did I not say, 'Do not deceive me'?" Chuck Smith paraphrases this as, "Now you know my heart was bound up in this child." Wow. Now what? Well, we'll stop there, as there's much to cover in these verses, and we'll finish the story next time. But for now, let's dig deeper into these verses. The woman does tell her husband that she is going to find Elisha, but it is not clear whether she honestly told him why. Did he even know that the baby was dead? After all, he would have no reason to go into Elisha's room. We believe he didn't know yet. The husband's reference to the new moon had to do with the fact that a new moon was a time of sacrifice and special feasts. You can check that out in Numbers chapter 28, verse 14, or take a look at 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5. Apparently, this was a convenient time to visit a prophet. We note also that Elisha recognized her from a distance and showed his affection for her by sending his servant to greet her and inquire of her well-being. But the woman lied to Gehazi and only allowed her anger to be shown when she got to Elisha. Interestingly, Elisha identifies her grief, but is also somewhat surprised that the Lord had not forewarned him. Not sure what to make of this. Perhaps some of the commentators may help us. So let's keep pressing on. One commentator has suggested that the boy got sick that morning suddenly in the harvest fields, due perhaps to the extreme heat of the day, causing a fatal sunstroke in a younger child. Pain, stupor, and inflammatory fever are the symptoms of the disease, which is often fatal. But why did the mother say both to the father and later to Elisha's servant that, quote, all was well? One commentator suggests the woman didn't want Elisha or anyone else to learn of her grief through his assistant Gehazi. She wanted the man of God to hear it from her own lips and sense her own grief. And I guess telling her husband, which would then take matters into his own hands and take over, would only have hindered her from going to Elisha quickly. Matthew Henry suggests it is possible that she thought her faith was less, he thought rather his faith was less than hers and wouldn't let her go. Well, we'll say more about her faith in a moment. Clearly, Elisha had a gift. That is, God often revealed things to him. But Chuck Smith points out that the gift that God gives us is his to have it be used when and where he wants, not when we want. Thus, God is free to hide some things, like the death of this boy, from Elisha. The granting of a child to a mother that otherwise would not be able to bear children had been employed by God as a gift before. There is the example of Abraham's wife, Sarah, bearing Isaac. And there are other examples. Manoah and Elkanah were biblical figures with significant roles in the Old Testament stories of Samson and Samuel, respectively. Manoah was the father of Samson, and his wife was blessed with the birth of a son after an angel appeared to her. Elkanah, on the other hand, was the father of Samuel and was married to Hannah. He had a second wife named Peninnah, and his story focuses on the barrenness of Hannah and her eventual blessing with Samuel. Matthew Henry takes the most interesting approach to this woman's faith here in 2 Kings chapter 4. He writes, quote, she has a strong belief that the child will be raised to life again. Like a genuine daughter of Abraham's faith, she accounts that God is able to raise him from the dead. She has heard of the raising of the widow's son of Sarepta, and that the spirit of Elijah rested on Elisha. And such confidence had she of God's goodness that she was very ready to believe that he who soon took away what he had given would restore what he had now taken away. In this faith, she makes no preparation for the burial of her dead child, but rather for its resurrection. For she lays him on the prophet's bed, verse 21, expecting that he will stand her friend. O woman, great is thy faith. He that wrought it would not frustrate it. Ends the comment. Now perhaps this was the woman that the Apostle Paul had in mind when he implied in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 15, that by this kind of faith, quote, women received their dead raised to life. Note also that when answering the servant who went out to meet her, the woman implied all was well with her entire family. Yet her son was lying dead back home on Elisha's bed. Not sure how she mustered the courage or strength to do that or to say that. I'm not sure I could have. There is, of course, much more we can say about the fact that she didn't ask for a son. But once one was given to her, she became so fond of him that she feels cheated by Elisha and maybe by God to have him taken away so soon. Now here's the lesson Matthew Henry sees in all this. She did not fret for the want of a son, as Hannah, nor beg as Rachel. Give me children or else I die, you'll remember Rachel saying. When any comfort is taken from us, it is well if we can say, through grace, that we did not set our hearts inordinately upon it. For if we did, we have reason to fear it was given in anger and taken away in wrath. Or put another way, we may wish we had something, but we must not be craving for anything. Next time, friends, we're going to see how this miracle involving Elisha ends up. Join us for that. In the meantime, so that we can keep producing these videos, actually we'll produce them anyway, but so that YouTube will allow them to stay up, is if you like these videos. I'd really appreciate it if you could just say like on the page you're watching. That tells YouTube that people are watching it, and they'll keep it up. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, Digging for Scriptural Gems, please go back, subscribe to YouTube, Digging for Scriptural Gems. Another person did that just this week. But most importantly, I would urge you, for your own sake, keep on studying God's Word.